Welcome to Dadograms, lessons to help you win in life. Today I want to talk to you about a very special kind of person that I struggle with. Not politicians, not Xboxes, not even that guy who's going slow in the fast lane. I'm talking about thieves, people who take what isn't theirs. And I'm not talking thieves like the guys who just broke into the Louvre wearing construction gear to steal all those jewels. I'm talking about a more subtle kind of thief, the kind that steals your time, your trust, or your peace of mind. That kind of theft doesn't make the evening news, but it still leaves you standing there angry, empty-handed, and wondering why people are the way they are. So that's what I'm going to talk about. And if you listen to very many of my Dadograms, you know sometimes I come to my point starting in a very different place. So that's where I'm going to start here. Stick with me, and you'll learn a lot that you can use in your own life to help you win. Ready? When our first child was born, my wife and I made a simple rule. There were certain words that we were never going to use in the house. And I'm not talking about just the usual four-letter words. Those kind of go without saying. But we had one specific word that is very damaging if you let it take root. And that word is the H word. That's right. Hate. We banned it because if you stop saying it, you stop feeding it. And I can still remember the exact moment that lesson landed on me. I was about 4 years old in the back seat of my car, angry with my mom, and I was losing an argument with her. So I used my childlike version of the nuclear option. I yelled to my mom, "I hate you!" And how did my mom respond? She started to cry. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but she was giving me an Oscar-worthy performance to teach me a lesson about how damaging words can be. And it worked. It affected me, and I can still remember it 50 years later. I realized right then that some words don't just hurt the person you throw at them, they take something away from you, too. And that's what theft does. It takes, and it leaves both sides smaller. Now, I'm sure you all know the 10 Commandments. You know, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not... Well, here's all 10. Take a look real quick. Many of you may have memorized them, but here's something that I bet a lot of folks don't know. I sure didn't until our pastor one day told us. He said that you can summarize all 10 commandments into one single line. That line is, thou shalt not steal. Think about that. Murdering is stealing a life. Adultery is stealing trust. Lying is stealing the truth. Coveting is stealing contentment, and so on. When you look at it that way, nearly every wrong thing a person can do comes down to one thing: taking something that wasn't theirs to take. And I think that's why God made it such a big deal. Because for most of human history, survival wasn't automatic. If someone stole your food, your water, your fire starter, heck, your goat, that wasn't just an inconvenience. It could be fatal. You'd be watching your family starve to death while the thief made off with your stuff was living a warm and content life somewhere else. The instinct to protect what's ours, to defend it, to fight for it, got written into our DNA long before it got written into stone. And that's probably why I reacted the way I did the first time someone stole from me. I was in college when it happened. I came out to my car one early morning, still dark outside. I started the car and reached for the stereo, a really good Pioneer stereo system back in the early 90s. As I tried to figure out where to put my hand on the button to turn it on, it took me a few moments to realize it was gone. The dashboard had been removed. Wires were hanging loose like spaghetti noodles. I was so shocked. Then I got mad. If only I could have caught them in the act of stealing, I thought. And I often still fantasize about catching someone in the middle of stealing something from me, just so you know. That's how much this bothers me. Anyway, I never forgot that feeling, the outrage, the anger. Everything in my life had to be reshuffled around and reprioritized in that instant. I was on my way to an event at the ROTC battalion, and I wouldn't be able to make it. And now I would have to call the police. And then I'd have to go explain to them at the ROTC, why I didn't show up that morning. Remember, this is long before the days of cell phones or texting or anything like that. And ultimately, I was going to have to figure out how to get my car repaired, get a new stereo system, get it all put back together. Remember, I was a poor college student this time, barely able to make ends meet. And now, all of a sudden, I had a real economic issue, at least in my world, that I was going to have to deal with. So this was a huge disruption for me in my life. So I had the police come out, lights flashing, notepads out, going through the motions. And then they asked me if I'd left my car unlocked. What the hell did that matter? Someone stole something from me out of the car. Well, I answered him and said, yeah. Here I was, a country boy who just moved into a college town, and I never had imagined in my wildest dreams somebody could actually break in, take your dash apart, and steal your stereo. Why would somebody do that? I never locked my doors because I never thought somebody would do such a thing. It's not anything that would have ever crossed my mind. Anyway, the cops just gave me that look. They shrugged their shoulders and said, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Keep your doors locked next time. Thanks. And that was it. What I felt in that moment wasn't just those things I mentioned earlier. There was also a sense of violation, of powerlessness. I had a powerful desire to hunt down the thief who took it from me and teach him the errors of his way. But of course, there was no way to track a thief down. So I had to deal with the damage up here with no easy way to fix it. And this was just a stereo. It's not like a life was stolen, not like someone's virtue was stolen, not their reputation stolen, all of which are far harder to get past. Anyway, in getting that stereo stolen, I lost trust in the world for a time. That's when I realized theft rearranges more than your stuff. It rearranges the way you see people. And these days, the thieves don't have to be present to steal your property, at least not physically present. Most of the thieves that we think of have bolt cutters, crowbars, that kind of thing. But nowadays, they're using phones and keyboards. Just a few months ago, I got a call from someone claiming to be with Google Security. And as I was talking to them on the phone, a box popped up right there on my computer that said someone was trying to hack into my Gmail account. And this individual went on to explain that my account was being hacked and that I needed to click yes in the box in order to stop it. Folks, I was not born yesterday. Heck, while in the Navy, they required us to go extensive training once a year just to avoid this type of trap. But this guy was good. I had to read that box several times, and then I realized if I click yes, he would be in my email. It was a total scam. So I hung up on him. But you know what? Later I got to thinking, I kind of wished I hadn't hung up on him. I'd have liked to have asked him some questions. I would have liked to have asked him, what does he actually get out of this? What does he hope to find in someone's email? What's worth that much deceit? It's easy to make legitimate money, and I wonder why he'd want to be a thief instead of a business owner or something. Here's what I realized. People like that are not just stealing money, they're stealing time, peace, trust, energy from people who don't deserve to lose it. And I genuinely wonder sometimes what it's like to live their life that way, where they wake up putting forth their very best effort every single day just to try to figure out a new way to break into someone's personal life and steal from them. But this guy is just one of many examples of thieves that come after me all the time. And I'm somewhat embarrassed to say it, to some degree or another, a lot of them succeed. They steal from me. Some are perfectly normal people who just take more than they give. And I've had more than a few tenants who've refused to pay rent but lived in my apartments or houses until I finally had to evict them. And folks, let me be very clear here. I still have to make a mortgage payment. So yes, that's theft of my money, my time, my energy, and my faith in humanity. Every other contractor I work with ends up stealing from me, whether it's cutting corners or taking a payment draw and never showing back up to finish that work. That happens. That's theft too. An employee who half finishes a job knowing someone else will fix it. That's theft in action. And yes, even the friend who calls you every time they need something, but never once asks, how are you? That's kind of stealing too. It's all in the same spirit, taking without giving. Taking without adding anything of value. And if you don't learn to guard yourself against it, it will sap your resources just as surely as a burglar who breaks into your car or your house. So let me give you one story that almost pushed me over the edge and that kind of inspired this whole Dadogram. This is something so simple, but something that pissed me off beyond measure. So my family and I were sitting at a stoplight early in the morning behind a white sedan in the left turn lane. There wasn't another car on the road anywhere, just us. The arrow turned green and they didn't move. They just sat there. Now, I wasn't in any big hurry, but eventually I realized they were probably texting, so I gave them the polite beep beep, letting them know that, hey, your light is green, get going. And you know what they did? They did nothing. They just sat there. Then the arrow turns yellow, still nothing. And now I'm committed to sitting through an entire light cycle again. Then the light turns red, and like a shot, they gun it, shooting straight through the intersection and leaving us sitting at a red light again. When I realized the game, it set me off like a rocket. I was mad. So I looked both ways to make sure I was clear, and just before I gunned it, my wife put her hand on the steering wheel and calmly said, "Don't you dare." Dang! That jerk didn't steal my money. They didn't take my property. But they took something I can't get back. 2 minutes from me, 2 minutes from my wife, 2 minutes from each of my kids. That's 8 man-minutes gone forever. And it wasn't just that we all sat there through that light like we did. It's that the person in front of me did it with intent. They did it on purpose. They decided they would steal my time, my calm, my happiness on an otherwise beautiful morning. That is what thieves do. Anyway, here's the heart of it. The worst kind of theft isn't from your wallet. Not necessarily. It's when someone steals something that can't be replaced, like your time, your trust, your peace of mind, and so on. Gossip steals reputations. Ghosting steals closure. Chronic lateness steals other people's time and schedules. Tenants that trash your property, they cost it all. Time, money, energy. Online scammers steal your confidence in people, and on and on. When it comes down to it, thieves suck. Remember, I don't say the H word, but if I did, that's how I feel about a thief. And based on the 10 Commandments, I think it's in all of us to passionately dislike a thief. Their actions chip away at our faith in humanity, and that's the part I despise the most. So what do we do about it? Sure, lock your doors, but also lock your focus. Guard your joy. Protect your attention like it's a bank account. Because it is. And I can't tell you how good it feels after we defriended some of our more radical friends on Facebook. They were thieves, stealing our time, our energy, our joy, and our peace of mind. It's way better now. And also, when something tangible gets stolen from you, don't let bitterness keep taking more. Sometimes the real theft isn't the one who took the thing, it's the resentment that moves in afterwards. You lose 5 minutes to a jerk on the road at a red light, and then you lose 5 days replaying in your head. That was me. That's my problem, and that's something I've got to try to get past. And in that case, I continued the theft, and it's something I have to work to get past. And it's hard. It's really hard. So shrug it off if you can. Fight back if you must. But don't let small-time thieves rent space in your head forever. Because if you do, they're winning in life, not you. And I want you to win, right? And a note to all you thieves out there who are doing these things. You can tell a lot about a person by how they treat what isn't theirs. Not just property, but other people's time, trust, and patience. Good people leave things better than they found them. Thieves don't. They take and they damage. And it's hard for good people to recover from a theft. So don't be a thief. If it isn't yours, don't take it. And don't become one of the quiet thieves, the time wasters, the no-shows, the "I'll pay you back on Friday" folks. Be the kind of person who adds value wherever you go. Return what you borrow. Show up when you say you will. Pay what you owe. Tell the truth even if it costs you something. Because in the end, life isn't about what you keep. It's about what you contribute. I'm Jason M. Garrett, and this has been your Dadogram.